What Yogananda said is very interesting. It's always inspired me. Is he said that the gravity holding, like the planets, balancing them in the solar system around the sun and elsewhere in the universe, was a manifestation of divine love. And I love that. And I think about it all the time. And I have my own perception of it, my own ideas. But I want to try to keep, I try to keep when I'm talking, to keep it true to my own experience, but also what my guru Yogananda taught. So what I wanted to say is that if I've learned anything through meditation and living and trying to be a better person and trying to grow and mature and be more functional and more happy and more useful in this world, it's that, especially through meditation, there is a connection that we can experience with each other, or with things, like with nature, beauty, you know, that things that we respect and inspire us, that we can actually deepen that connection with those things. And it starts to feel like, in the beginning, maybe it feels like an affirmation, like, I'm really into gardening and flowers, or I really love the sun, the moon, and the stars, or the eclipse, or whatever's going on, you know. Or if you lived in a place where you could see the stars, you know, they can be very inspiring. When you close your eyes, you can look and see all that light all around you in the dark, or the moon, then close your eyes and just kind of feel like you're connected with it. But I do believe that the more you do that, and the more you allow yourself to feel connected, let's say with nature to begin with, because it's usually easier, it's not so personal. What you're doing is more than an affirmation, and you can create a dynamic relationship with it. And I remember Swami Kriyananda, when he was younger, he went through a phase where he did a lot of photography. And people talked about his photos as if they were special. And he would say that, you know, they're like, how did you get that bird? Or how did you get that flower to look this way? And he said that, you know, what he believed is that because he appreciated nature, or God in nature is the way he would have said it, so much, he felt that it was talking back to him. And he felt that it was responsive to him. And he talked about that a lot. And so this idea that we're not so separate comes from meditating, you know, closing your eyes and perceiving your connection with things without the senses, and more from, let's say, our intuition. In the beginning, it might just sound like a creative idea or a visualization. But I would say that, like let's say you know a person that's, I don't know, a really good musician of some kind with some particular instrument, or really good at a certain sport or a certain hobby, or maybe they're a really good architect, but they can solve problems mathematically in physics or chemistry or whatever it is. Certain people absolutely, definitely have displayed through history an unusual attunement and ability in one field or another, like a sculptor or an inventor or Einstein, right? Or maybe it's something more like production related, like, I don't know, like Henry Ford or something like that. People have gifts and they have abilities to tune in to different things, and the more we do that, we talk about attunement a lot in yoga, the more we can kind of, if we're listening, we can learn from our environment, we can learn from our inspiration, we can learn from others, but we can also just learn from nature. And so let's just say, so what I'm saying is that because yoga is union, right? It means uniting your consciousness to one great reality. And it's not like it's not like us and them. It's just like experiencing our connection with nature, right? We know that every cell in our body is made of, what is it? What are we made out of? You know, elements and particles and chemicals and whatever they are, and nitrogen or whatever the stuff. But it comes from stars. It comes from planets. It comes from space. It comes from so far away, right? And it's all like, it's all cycling through everything. And do we really believe, I just won't accept it, okay? Do we really believe that our awareness is just like a chemical reaction coincidence that's just happens to be in this body at this one time? No way. I've experienced enough of life and death in my own life that I know for a fact that it's not true. And you can experience it in meditation if you haven't already. That your consciousness and your awareness and your spirit is filtered. It's coming through your eyes and your senses and your mouth and your nose and what you say and what you feel and what you think right now. But it's definitely not limited to your body. And the more that we can close our eyes and feel our connection with things, with the ocean, with the sky, whatever turns us on, or another way to do it is with people. So those people that inspire us, or those people that we really feel connected to, think about what love is for you. What does it mean to be loved unconditionally, hopefully by a reasonable person or a parent that is semi-functional and not totally dysfunctional, abusive, or crazy? Because I know some of us, we've all dealt with different things. But what does it mean? Like if you just were going to write a storybook for children or something, you're going to talk about love and relationships. What is it? Is love really based on, like the love that we feel, is it really based on likes and dislikes? I don't think that's love. That's preference. But when you have a child, or you have a partner or a friend that's totally imperfect, or at least somehow imperfect, and you develop that relationship with them and that respect to where you accept their imperfections and you still love them. You accept the things that you don't really like about them, but you still love them, you still support them, you still want to see the best in them, you still want to kind of, isn't that more of a loving thing? And what if, I never could do this with people, but I learned to do it with nature. And so it's like you can see, like we become so specific and so picky about how people should treat us and how people need to respect us and how life should be, right? Yet we'll be a mountain climber and we'll accept the risk that if we screw up, we'll fall and die. We will never blame the mountain, right? I accept the risk when I go surfing. When I was younger and I was surfing kind of crazy, I might die. I never blamed the ocean, right? I remember when my son was really little and he got all excited, went out, the waves were a little bit too big, he got all bummed out. He said, and I said, hey, the ocean is your friend. He thought I was crazy because at that moment it felt like the ocean was being mean to him. But I said, it's not being mean to you. It'll kill you, but it's not personal. You have to tune yourself into the ocean. You need to know when to go in, when to not, or how to use the currents, right? Okay, I learned to love the ocean and to appreciate nature and finally God, what I call God, by realizing that at any moment it could take my life away, but it's impersonal and it's still beautiful and it's the way life is, right? And so we learn with the things that we love, we learn to accept them with all levels of their realities, whether they feel good or bad, or they're harmful or not, right? We start to have a deeper relationship with things when we can accept the whole picture, not just what we want. And that relationship can be very freeing, because only then do we start to have a dynamic connection with it. And so with people, when we can accept people as they are with all their imperfections, like the mountainside that will kill you, like the ocean that will drown you if you let them, right? Because certain people might kill you. But you don't have to hate them, you need to respect them. The ocean can kill me, but I don't hate it, I respect it. I respect its power, and I also respect the delusion in people. I know that people are very limited expressions of their higher potential. I know that for a fact because I know it in me. I know that I have a high potential, and I know sometimes I don't live up to it, but I know that when I don't live up to it, even when I fall, at that moment I was trying my best. So I forgive myself. If I can forgive myself, why can't I forgive other people? And if I don't allow myself to forgive other people, I suffer because I create a definition in some aspect of life that surrounds me and is a part of me that I can't accept it, that I can't love it, or I can't be with it. It bothers me, it pisses me off, it hurts my heart, and I pay the price. The more time that we spend not loving, or at least not accepting, the more time our body is in stress, our consciousness is weighed down, and we suffer. And so I believe what Yogananda said was true, that divine love, different than human love, that divine love is what connects us all, that holds the bodies in space, and brings us all in the orbit of each other, and that I think true love is that love that's, in a way, it's like impersonal. In other words, I feel that like my connection with the ocean evolved into a connection with nature, and when I understood the ocean and I understood nature and I started to understand meditation, I actually started to understand myself. When I began to understand myself through meditation, I actually learned to accept my failings, accept my past, accept my faults as a necessary part of who I am right now, but they don't identify who I really am inside. And with that, I learned to accept others. And each step of the way, I became happier, healthier, and more free. And when I say the word God, I'll just say, I don't know what God is, but I know God is real for me. And so the way I define God, it's just the sum total of everything. The known and the unknown, it's just God. It's just a word. It's like, it's nature is the same thing. So the nature that we experience on this planet and the nature at the farthest reaches of whatever we can imagine is real or happening on the physical plane, on the energetic plane, on the spiritual plane, whatever it is, all of it lives within this dream, this image in my mind that I call God. It's definitely not a person, definitely not an old guy on a cloud. It's definitely not a heaven and hell thing like in the Bible. Those are metaphorical truths, but I would say they're not literal, but anyway, I don't want to get into that argument. But anyway, all I'm saying is that if we can close our eyes and learn to, like, say, work with the breath without controlling it, accept what's happening right now, accept ourselves gradually, if we can't already, the past, the future, and everything in between, and begin to accept others as imperfect expressions of nature, something greater, then what all you become, you're not personal to me. Dave, I love you, but you're not personal to me. And so you say something to me that I don't like or I don't get, you're like the wave. You're like a little piece of ice falling down when I'm climbing up a mountain. It's nothing personal, right? But your desire to be happy, to figure out what's going on right now in your life, the challenges that you face, your sincere desire just to be a good, honest guy inspires the hell out of me. But not because it's you, because it's all of us. Everyone in this room is trying to do the right thing and trying to be a good person. And I believe it doesn't come from any one of us, but it comes from whatever that thing is in nature that makes us all one. So I call that love. That's all I know. That's all I know. And I feel like when we're meditating, if we want to, we can be in the moment, we can be mindful of the thoughts and all this kind of stuff and the feelings in our bodies. But there's another level where we can, I guess maybe just by focusing on beauty and what inspires us, there's this higher level where we can just start feeling this kind of, I don't know what it is, a connected feeling of appreciation, gratitude, and deep respect for everything that everybody's going through and everything that's motivating us and all that we seek in life. That's about all I know personally. I can't define it the way it's been defined by great teachers. I can't define it the way it's defined in the teachings of yoga. But just as a beginner on the spiritual path and basically a beginner with meditation, and consciousness in my own self. My own personal feeling of it is that there definitely is a reality that connects us and makes life sweet. And the last thing I want to say is that if we allow ourselves to have a dynamic relationship with life through people, through experiences, through the senses, and also through the intuition, then it's a weird thing, but life does respond. And it's kind of like if we bring a kindness to it, and we bring love to it, and we bring goodwill to it, it doesn't mean that it's going to go easy. We'll always be tested, and everything will be taken away that we're attached to. That's another topic. But at the same time, it's like you can be on that mountain, and you can take a moment to not focus so much on what you're doing, but look around and see what's happening everywhere, in the sky and in the trees and in the snow and in the wind and in the rivers and in people. People who are good and people who are bad, people who are mean and nasty and people who are friendly and loving, and see them like waves. You know, like sometimes nature is beautiful and it's all green and moist, and other times there's a big wildfire moving across the plain. But at the end of the day, it's healthy. It's just part of the game. I don't know what that's all about. But we have that duality. We have the good and the bad, the dark and the light, the life and the death. But at the end of the day, there's a relationship and a dynamic connection we can have through meditation and just through goodwill and the willingness to perceive beauty around us that will carry us through any test, and it will help make us strong for others when they lose hope, and life becomes really sweet. That's all I can say. So life becomes really sweet. And it wouldn't be something Swami Kriyananda said. It's like the hardships and things are like shadows on a statue, like a white marble statue. We were just in Italy, you see that stuff. But like a white marble statue, you wouldn't appreciate it without the shadows to show the light. And it's the same way in life. Without the difficulties and the challenges that we all face and we have to deal with, what would success be?